Hey folks, Andrew here from the Shenmue AM2 podcast, and I am very excited about this Inin Games deal with Shenmue 3 with the licensing. So I really want to take a deep dive video into it here and talk about a lot of it. There's the good, the bad, the ugly of this deal, but I think this is going to be overwhelmingly positive for Shenmue moving forward. There's lots of speculation as to what might happen. Inin Games has done a few little releases about the information. So they kind of just had the initial, we've acquired the license. Then there was a bit of a broader statement. And then there was a tweet release saying we're going to have some information in the future, so stay tuned. I imagine, I'm recording this on November 23rd, 2024. I imagine they're probably going to wait till Shenmue Day, December 4th. Saying Shenmue Day, but the 4th of the month tweetathon. I imagine that's probably the day that they're going to do their next big announcement, just because the 4th of the month is an important day for Shenmue fans. So let's get into this because there's a lot I want to talk about. First off, Inin Games, their kind of bread and butter is this type of thing where I'll read you their headline right off of their Twitter page. A video game publisher of Western Wonder Boy, Pocky and Rocky, Jitsu Squad, Cotton versions, and more, bringing back timeless cult classics! Exclamation point. Which is kind of what they're doing here. Not that Shenmue 3 went anywhere, but something exciting is going to happen with it. So, next thing I want to talk about is the license being acquired. So, license is acquired from Sega because Sega owns the Shenmue IP. It's 5 years to the day from the release of Shenmue 3. So, by the looks of things, just a deal that has expired. And Deep Silver, Koch Media, however you want to pronounce it, ultimately Embracer Group, their parent company, deciding not to retain it. So, that being said, they may not have necessarily decided not to retain it either. So, this license agreement could have just expired and Sega didn't offer a renewal on it. So, we're not going to give you the option to renew it. Deep Silver may have had the option to renew it and declined it. It could have been a situation where both parties needed to agree. One agreed, one didn't. But either way, it's no longer with Deep Silver. It's now with Inin Games. Inin Games is a division of United Games. And that'll be important here in a minute too because of some things I researched about them and I've noticed about how they tend to release games. So, does this mean that Shenmue 3 was not profitable for Deep Silver? What were their motivations in not renewing this or not moving forward with it? Assuming that they had the option to move forward with it. 5 years had passed since, they released this wonderful game that, many of us never thought would see the light of day. And that has thankfully been released in our lives for 5 years now. And this is where I want to differentiate between profit and value. There's a statement here that I have from, let me just grab it up here, from Embracer Group. So, Shenmue 3 has performed fine financially, but has proved to be a core niche product according to the parent company of publisher Deep Silver. So, performed fine means most likely it had made profit. But when you look at profit, you also need to look at value and do a cost-benefit analysis of selling any product. If I can make widget A and sell it for $10 and I get $2 profit, or I can make widget B, sell it for $10 but make $3 profit, I'm going to sell widget B because there's more value in doing so. So, corporations, big, small, whatever, you only have so much time and resources that you need to funnel into different, buckets of your business. Corporations, and Embracer Group is a publicly traded company, so by definition, they have to operate within the confines of the law, and as a publicly traded company, they are meant to operate to increase shareholder and stakeholder value. So they, by law, are required to put the resources best as they can, based on the decisions of the directors and operators of the business, to be profitable and provide the most value. So if they, deemed that they can put those resources somewhere else and have more value out of them, as opposed to doing Shenmue 3, more things with Shenmue 3, potentially Shenmue 4, then they are obliged to do so. So that most likely is why they are finished with it. Not to mention, they had the license for 5 years, and not much has happened with Shenmue 3 recently. Outside of the initial release, we did get the complete edition, which ironically, technically is not complete because there was a patch after this game came out. And we may come back to this in a minute as well. But that is most likely Deep Silver's reasoning for not continuing with it, because they could have chosen to renew as well, assuming they had the opportunity to continue with the IP, assuming Yu Suzuki and EaseNet were looking to do so, which it is safe to assume they are, because they have a new agreement here with Inin Games. So, with regards to Sega on this, Shenmue 3 is a licensed IP. So they're getting, most likely, the structure of the deal is either a licensing fee, and then the licensee, or licensor, I can't remember which is which, like EaseNet and Deep Silver would have been able to sell the game, keep the profits. There may have been some sort of profit sharing agreement where X amount of revenue goes towards Sega, towards the licensing. There's license deals there's different ways they can be done. But also Sega could have just chosen to publish this themselves going forward. So there would have been a cost-benefit analysis done by Sega. And the game is already complete and released, so their publishing going forward wouldn't necessarily have been a lot of work, per se. But if they can get a license fee that is guaranteed income from a company like Inin Games, you're going to take that deal because it is guaranteed income, assuming that the deal is based on an upfront licensing fee and then potential shared revenue going forward. So, Inin Games, and the cool thing is here, let me just find it in my list here. Inin Games also already has a working relationship with Sega. They released this game here, Wonder Boy, Asha, and Monster World, which also had a little bonus item with it, which is something important that we'll come back to as well. But Inin Games now own the Shenmue 3 license. Obviously, it's for some specified time frame as well. It could be 5 years like the previous deal with Deep Silver. They didn't initially announce that, which they probably won't anyways, and they don't necessarily need to. So what's this mean for us? Well, Sega has been doing a lot of licensing recently. I think I actually have, other than the Wonder Boy Collection Anniversary, I think I actually have all of them. So we have Shenmue 1, 2, and 3. We have Wonder Boy, Monster Boy, this one that I had shown previously, the Wonder Boy Collection. There is an anniversary of that as well. Panzer Dragoon, Streets of Rage 4, the Streets of Rage 4 Anniversary Edition, Rez, House of the Dead Remake, and Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Now, I don't know if you've noticed anything about all of those. You do not see the Sega logo appear on any of them. And that is having to do with how Sega does licensed products. If Sega themselves do not physically produce the product, their logo is not allowed to be on it. There's a great article here on a website called Time Extension. It says, have you ever wondered why there's no Sega logo on the Streets of Rage 4, House of the Dead, and Arcade's 1-Up's Outrun cabinet? And essentially, it talks about how Sega will not allow their logo to appear on a product unless they physically produce it. And they're guessing that it was based on the catastrophe that was the At Games little Genesis products, because those were not a quality product, and Sega got a lot of grief because they allowed their logo to be on it. So Sega has been much more protective of the brand doing that. So something like this, just Sega game, published, produced, made by Sega, has a logo on it. Shenmue 1 and 2, again by Sega, has a logo on it. So, Inin Games have this now. I did see a comment on, I don't know, it was some sort of social media, saying that, this is just going to be Shenmue 3 hot potato licensing. I don't believe that at all. It was a 5-year deal. It ended. Someone new has it. And there would have been lead time for this licensing, because this isn't, it was done on November 18th with Deep Silver, and then, at midnight, someone from Inin Games was like, hey, Sega, can we have this? There was obviously a lead time up. Sega potentially shopping the IP, or Inin Games knowing, because of their collaboration with EaseNet on Air Twister, knowing that this deal was coming up and approaching Sega about it and saying, hey, if you don't have any other offers, or this is our offer, we would love to have this IP. So I don't believe it's a case of hot potato at all. And not to mention, they made this announcement right away. We're on November 23rd. We've had multiple communications from Inin Games already that they have intent to do stuff with this. So I'm going to kind of read these. So November 21st, 2024, Inin Games and EaseNet are thrilled to announce the publishing rights for the legendary iconic game Shenmue are officially transferred to Inin Games. Following the previous collaboration on Air Twister, this will deepen the relationship with legendary creator Yu Suzuki and his team. Known for our commitment to celebrating beloved titles and bringing them to new platforms, Inin Games is excited to shepherd Shenmue 3 into its next phase. And shepherding it into its next phase is very important, because they obviously have plans for this. Otherwise, they would have never paid any licensing fees to do this. The other announcement from them, it says, following the previous collaboration on Air Twister, this will deepen the relationship with legendary blah, blah, blah. This exciting transfer coincides with two momentous milestones, the 25th anniversary of the Shenmue series and the 5th anniversary of Shenmue 3. Since its debut, Shenmue has captivated fans worldwide with its groundbreaking storytelling, immersive open-world gameplay, and its legacy as a pioneer in video game history. Shenmue 3 continues this transition, keeping the spirit of the saga alive for a new generation of players. We at Inin Games are honored to carry the Shenmue torch forward during such a significant moment in the series' history. So they're clearly having some plans there. As we reflect on 2 decades of innovation and passion, we remain dedicated to preserving and sharing the journey of Ryo Hazuki with both longtime fans and newcomers. With this transfer, the story of Shenmue is far from over. We have exciting plans to celebrate these anniversaries, ensuring that this beloved series continues to thrive and inspire. Keep an eye out for upcoming announcements as we unveil our vision for the next phase of Shenmue's legacy. All of that sounds incredibly promising. So, what does this mean? Immediately, people are jumping to ports to the Nintendo Switch and Xbox. I think those are both probably likely. I know probably likely sounds weird. But the Switch has the Nintendo Switch has an incredible install base. And bringing that game to them, those fans, anyone that owns a Switch, is a huge opportunity. Now, that being said, the parent company, United Games, does not appear to offer physical editions for Microsoft platforms. Going through their website, everything is PS4 and Switch. And potential maybe PS5 now that the PS5 is getting an install base as well. They do distribute digitally through Microsoft, but I don't think we will necessarily see a physical Microsoft product coming out. I think the physical side of things is going to be limited to the Nintendo Switch, possibly a PS5 version as well. As I mentioned, this might be important here as well. With the Wonder Boy, this came with a free download of a Genesis version of Monster World 4. Ideally, best case scenario for Nintendo Switch fans is we get the Shenmue 3 on a cartridge, and maybe there's a licensing agreement to get Shenmue 1 and 2 as a download. Or real best case scenario, end of the rainbow dreaming here, is to have, physical versions of both. But there isn't anything saying that they've acquired the license for Shenmue 1 and 2. But if they could work out a deal with Sega, to have a download or something of the original Shenmue games, because that's going to increase the likelihood that, people may purchase it if they can get through the entire saga of something. Not many people jump in on the third iteration of something without, watching the first movie. It'd be like watching Godfather 3 without seeing Godfather 1 or 2 or something. And maybe a PS5 version, because, again, they do produce physical copies for Sony by the looks of things. Also, this being the complete edition, if there is a release now, it would have everything as of now on the cartridge or disc, assuming they don't need to patch it after they put it on a cartridge or disc. So we could finally have a completely preserved, full version, complete version of Shenmue 3. This is exciting times for Shenmue fans. They're talking about moving the series forward, which is great. So they have plans for something. What those plans are, we don't know. Ideally, Shenmue 4, Shenmue 5. We are transitioning to another generation of consoles. I know the PS5 and the latest version of the Xbox have been out for a while. We do have the Switch 2 on the horizon. So that is all good news for Shenmue fans. It's great to see this in the hands of a company that this is their bread and butter. They bring, beloved franchises, moving forward. Will we see this maybe as a possible budget title? Because there's not a whole lot of development cost here other than maybe the port itself, right? So if you can sell this at a volume at a lower price as opposed to a higher price at a lower volume, get that install base up there. The more hands this is in, the more beneficial it is to Shenmue fans. It's great that Sega is allowing this to be licensed still. Sega has, put out a survey recently about legacy IPs that they're looking at doing stuff with. Shenmue was not included on that. This may be why that was not included on it, because there's already plans with Inin Games having acquired the license. So, again, very, very positive news for Shenmue fans. It's only up from here, guys. This is great. Be excited for this. This is something that we've waited for. We may have had to have waited for because of the 5-year agreement. And let's just see where this goes. Only up from here, guys. I appreciate you, everyone watching this video. Good news. This is great news. Anyways, have a great day. Hopefully we have great Shenmue news soon. And thanks for everyone watching. I know this has been 20 minutes now. Goodbye.